ज्ञान गंगा के 2192वें पड़ाव पर आपका स्वागत करते हैं। आज हम फ्रोजन योगर्ट डे सेलिब्रेट करने वाले हैं, जिसमें आप देखेंगे कि हम न्यूट्रिशनल वैल्यूज पर चर्चा करने वाले हैं। फ्रोजन फूड की आखिर ये है क्या फ्रोजन फूड? क्योंकि आजकल समय कम बचता है, जमाना फास्ट हो गया है, रेडी टू ईट हाफ कुक्ड फूड ज्यादा प्रचलन में है। पहले एक अकेली वेजिटेरियन में मटर आती थी फ्रोजन फूड में, लेकिन अब तो देखिए बहुत सारी चीजें हैं। इन्हीं सब पर विचार करने के लिए 2192 पड़ाव पर फ्रोजन फूड न्यूट्रिशनल वैल्यू मैं आदरणीय डॉक्टर विष्णु प्रसाद शर्मा सर को सादर आमंत्रित करता हूं उनके स्वागत भाषण के।
Namaskar. Good evening to everybody. Hari Om. Respected distinguished guests, eminent speaker, ladies and gentlemen. I, Professor Dr. Vishnu Prasad Sharma, welcome all of you to AYUSH SAMRIDDHI International Webinar Series on Frozen Food Nutritional Values. Most important subject today we have. In this webinar, we have eminent speaker. I want to welcome Dr. Suparna S. Mukherjee, Associate Professor in HOD, Department of Education, School of Humanities from Bolpur. Namaskar, madam, and welcome you to this AYUSH Samriddhi webinar. Next, I want to welcome Dr. Soikat Kumar Basu, Executive Research Director, Performance Sheet Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada. Namaskar, sir, and welcome you to this AYUSH Samriddhi webinar. Once again, I welcome all the eminent speakers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, to this AYUSH Samriddhi International webinar series on Frozen Foods Nutritional Fellow. सबको स्वागत करते हूँ। नमस्कार, ओवर टू पवन जी।
थैंक यू वेरी मच सर, सो नाइस ऑफ यू। मैं आदरणीय डॉक्टर सैकत कुमार बसु को सादर आमंत्रित करता हूं उनके विचारों के। सैकत कुमार बसु जी। Am I audible to you, Dr. Saikat? डॉक्टर सैकत कुमार बसु जी।
हाँ जी, थैंक यू शर्मा जी। हाँ, मैं बहुत कोशिश किया लाइक टू रीच आउट टू डॉक्टर सुपर्णा मुखर्जी। आई थिंक दे आर हैविंग अ हाउसिंग मीटिंग रिलेटेड सम काइंड ऑफ एन इश्यूज, सो शायद वो उसी में बिजी हो गए, इसीलिए आई वाज अनेबल टू गेट बैक टू हर. I was trying calling her to get to join us in the platform, but nonetheless I'll start, and if she's able to join, then she will join us on the platform. So thank you very much, Dr. Sharma. Thank you very much to all the dignitaries and other presenters who are present on this platform. I'm glad to be on the AYUSH Samriddhi platform. Today we are going to talk about the frozen food. Now, frozen food is not so common in our country. Like nowadays, everything is available in the big stores and malls. But traditionally, this is something which we usually find in Western countries in the shelves, in the big shoppers and the markets down there. They have a purpose why frozen food become popular. But now with malls and other amenities coming into our life, these are also now slowly getting available in India too, and it is also a bit popular. Now, why it used to be popular in Western countries is particularly because the agriculture has become more and more sophisticated over time, but for a large part and a significant Western countries, they are predominantly winter-based countries, and their cropping seasons are short. So it was not possible for them always to have fresh vegetables, always to have fresh produce that they can integrate into their food. So one of the things that developed over the time, that during the summer, autumn, or in the early spring, when the season was favorable for growing crops and stuff, various crops that are grown slowly, as industry of the chemical industry evolved, many chemicals were discovered, particularly the benzoate groups and many other solid preservatives, and the techniques of how vegetables could be preserved, and other food materials could be preserved, become increasingly important. Now, in the very old time, particularly if you think about in the very cold countries, there has always been a tradition of frozen food. For example, in the Arctic areas, particularly in North America, upper reaches across Canada and United States, the Aboriginal or the tribal people, the Inuits, which we call them by the name Eskimo. This term has been now removed, as because it is considered to be discriminatory. Just like we do not say negrito anymore, we say black or African American. The word Eskimo has been removed, and we used their ancient traditional name, which is the Inuit. The Inuit people, or these Eskimo people who had inhabited along these Arctic areas, had a very acute shortage of food during the winter, because everything is covered with heavy frozen snow. There is lack of movement that people could do. There is continuous snowfall for 6 months, and this is heavy snow that could not be removed, or there is no roadways and stuff. So they had a very difficult life, and as a consequences, they started learning through the process of hunter and gatherer, and what, that during the summer, during the early spring, or even before the advent of the winter, they were very meticulous in collecting food resources that they could preserve. And by food resources, it was predominantly fish. During the Arctic summer, a large number of fish migrate from the deep sea along the coastal areas. And the people, indigenous people around these areas, were very efficient in trapping those fishes. They used to eat these fish during the summer. Fish oils are good for health, and at the same time, the excess fish that they collect, they use to store them. They will clean out the guts, remove the waste materials and stuff, throw them out, clean them properly, remove the scales and stuff, and eat. Just during the summer, they have strings stretched across, and they will hang the meat over there. So cut open fish, they will froze it in that way. Similarly, it is easy to hunt for wild animals during the summertime, when they are abundant in number. They have their babies, they come out of the jungles and the forests and stuff. And even if they're migrating from their overwintering grounds, the people used to shoot them. And the excess hunting, they will butcher, clean out, throw away all the waste materials and stuff, and store what is good for their eating during the winter. So in these countries, if you look, even in to these days, when there are videos on people living in Siberia and stuff, you will see that every house has a frozen apartment of their own, or a small frozen section, in which is lays outside the house without any heat and stuff, and it is where they store their meat, fish, and other products that they can use during the winter as their protein sources or food sources. So this practice has been very ancient, and it is still in common in many parts of Siberia, northern Canada, Alaska, and other areas, or even in the Lapland areas of European Union, where people living in close to the Arctic Circle are very dependent on food sources that are collected during the summer and preserved. So this is the first concept of frozen food that came into our life, that people living in highly remote areas with less chances of agriculture because of the environment, it is not possible to regenerate food for them. So their diets were very much based on meat and fish. And so they will collect and hunt fish, clean them, store them, and use them as a food source during the summer months. During the winter months, a hard winter when it is difficult to find these food resources. They not only eat this themselves, even the animals, like particularly the sledge dogs, that were a part of their livelihood, because without which they could not move or hunt from one area to another. These dogs were also fed on these frozen meat or these frozen fishes. What they will do, they will take them out before cooking, and then they will put them in warm water, And as they soften and stuff, then they will cook it either by heating, roasting, barbecuing, or making soup of them. And the third part, the meats and stuff, they a portion they used to throw away to their pets or these dogs, which would survive on these particular meat sources. So it has been a very important cultural and heritage food aspects of these people for hundreds and thousands of years, from time immemorial. And even in modern days, when the diet of these Eskimo people or the Inuits have been evaluated, their health conditions were checked, and compared with the present time, it has been found that their health have deteriorated as soon as they started moving slowly. Like they used to have whale meat, shark meat, various kinds of other wild fish that is available on the ocean, and even inland waters, fishes and stuff. As soon as the modernization came into their life, they got more introduced to Europeans. They used to trade with them for far in exchange of sugar and salt. These things were not very much, these were extremely new to them, and they got used to the taste and become very, very fond of it. And they incorporated this into their frozen food culture, and slowly obesity and other related problems and other health issues incorporated into their life. So if we look into our modern day practice, why do we have frozen food? We have frozen food particularly to cut our time short, because we are living on the edge of a sixth or seventh industrial revolution, people say, and we are getting extremely busy. We have so many works to do, so many things to cater to. We do not get enough time to cook our food regularly. We may get a little bit of chapati and bread that is, or rice that is being cooked outside or prepared outside in the small hotels, and then you make your own veggies and vegetables or boiled foods or whatever you like. You consume it with them. But these habits in Western countries came upon as with they will have meat, loaf, bread, and as vegetables. They call it veggies. So what do they have? They will buy a lot of this meat. If you buy in huge bulk, the price of meat is low. If you buy frozen vegetables in huge amount and you can store in your gigantic freezer, then they come much, much cheaper. But the more you buy, cheaper it is. The less you buy, it becomes more expensive. But nonetheless, this equal storage facility became very, very fond with people living in these cold countries. And even during the winter, they had adequate supply of food. But at the same time, they depended on frozen food. I do not know how much research, I'm not aware about this frozen food being thawed, melted, and then it is eaten. If this has any significant bad effect on our health because we are artificially heating them up, I'm not very sure. There are some positive and negative reports. But nonetheless, what is important to highlight is this, that the vegetables that people have been using along with them, and even to these days, I have myself used them, is the vegetables that you put in your soup, in your saloon, in your curry, or if you are making, just having vegetables as a roughage and stuff or as salads. Everything is available. Both fresh ones are available in the international, in the Western countries, as well as these frozen foods are available. Now, as people find it convenient that they do not have to cook very regularly because our times are getting shorter, because of our business, because of our so much addiction to work and also to earn money, that we are restricting and cutting out time in properly cooking our food. And this is how the frozen food, just like fast food, became popular in the Western countries. So you have a bag of a bag of peas or bag of carrots, bag of tomato. Every vegetable that you want is available in bags. You can store them in your refrigerator once you buy them, and then you can take small amounts of it and put it into your soup, curry, or whatever other dishes that you are preparing. But the latest research has indicated that these vegetables that are preserved needs to be boiled, and then their temperatures is brought down, and this is a physical process in which they are being preserved. But at the same time, various chemicals, including benzoids and allied groups and chemicals, are incorporated in the process. Just because even in many of the achar or the prickle that we eat today, we find these preservative chemicals added and incorporated in it. In many tests, it has shown that these are not just your prickle in the sense, but there are additional artificial chemicals that have been added to increase the shelf life of the prickles. And we eat it over a long time, keep it in home. Maybe we are trying the achar for 6 times, unless you are prepared it at home. When you are, I'm saying that when you are buying from home, outside from the shop or the local market, there is always a high chance of adulteration and also not having the right things in the good quality. But with this habit of having frozen vegetables and going into your cooking become faster because they are pre-cooked. They get cooked very easy. It is easy to cater to your little children while you are busy. Or if you have a bigger family, too many children, you do not have the time to take care of them individually. Then you will make a big meal, including where there is no time to chop vegetables and other materials because there are six hungry mouths waiting for you. So what you do is you opt for this frozen food. Now, once or twice, 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, it's not big a deal because even people who go for hiking in remote rural areas, they have to carry many of these frozen food because there is nothing that they can eat down there. So need to survive, need to sustain, so need for their nutritional requirements and needs. So maybe for a month or 2 weeks or 3 weeks as they are going out, they use this frozen food, but they also have a very hard regime of work that goes down there. But in our normal regular city life, when you are incorporating our diet with so much of vegetables that are frozen and that is not freshly picked or not freshly cleaned, then there is high chance of chemicals being incorporated and integrated into them. And these chemicals of the benzoid groups and benzoid and allied families causes biomagnification. Many of them have been detected to be carcinogenic. Many of these preservatives have been banned in many countries, but without knowing, or even while knowing, because we have less on options, just as we have handed our kids with mobiles for their entertainment so that we can have some free moment that we could use judiciously in our work. The same is the case is with this the frozen food. If you are trying and attempting it for a short time, it is okay. It is a desperate need. One can understand that you do not have enough fibers and stuff. Do you use it for 1 or 2 weeks, and particularly when you are traveling or maybe you got stuck somewhere, or maybe you are working very hard on a particular regime and stuff, then it may be okay. But if you are repeatedly having these foods which are laced with this kind of poor medical coverage, as also lots of toxic chemicals being added for the purpose of preservation. Why are preservatives are such chemicals that will not allow the growth of any microbial life, viral materials and stuff. Viral will not remain active outside a living host, but just for microbes or fungus, bacteria, all these things could grow very fast on these any kind of a food material. To protect them against this, frozen food material has all kinds of these chemicals to protect them. Sometimes mannitols and other high hydroxy alcohols are also incorporated in the preservation of these materials, because so that they stay fresh, they look fresh, and it is considered to be for a short time okay or to live under these extreme conditions. But when that becomes a habit and these bad materials are incorporated in your body slowly over the time, and we are not taking any positive action to stop this, or to change the diet, or to make more changes or modification to the lifestyle, then you are inevitably being impacted by the same nutritious food that you are talking, turning into toxic materials, because we only need small amounts of these. So that toxic chemicals, in the sense, they are not so lethal that will kill an individual just upfront, but it is a long-term health effects, kidney, liver, and other vital organs, sometimes even relation to loss of appetite, to stomach, small intestine, cancer, colon cancer has also been incorporated now in many several studies dealing with frozen food used non-judiciously, has been found to be extremely toxic. So the final lesson is that although it comes from our traditional history, as ancient human hunter-gatherers have shown us how to use and freeze food so that we can use them during the non-available period or during the summer when snows are thawed. And also we have learned that in the same process, that unless you maintain quality and unless it is very necessary, it is important that we avoid buying frozen foods and vegetables, because these are not good. Chicken, they may, or like mutton, people who consume meat, if you are buying in bulk so that it becomes cheap, and then you are storing in your refrigerator for a long time, then there is not only a degradation of the quality of the food material, but there is also high chances that if by chance the air condition is not working, or your heater or your cooler is not working, the water will that has accumulated on these vegetables or on these fishes or any materials will immediately start melting, and soon the bacteria trapped in them, these water are released and they will start working by biodegrading these materials, which means we get this putrefying cell when someone dies is because of this bacterial fungus, etc. It started working, releasing them enzyme, breaking down collagens, another part, and absorbing them as their food source. So in these particular senses, we could say that if you are too much akin to frozen food, it is almost like providing yourself a gulp of these toxic materials, because we are adding this during the industrial manufacturing process to extend the shelf life. But by extending shelf life, it does not help your health. If you go to the market now and if you're looking for brinjal, every brinjal is such a shiny piece of artwork. They may be waxed, but I would say buy the one that has been infected with an insect and it looks partly rotten. Those are one that are good for your health because they are undergoing degradation. The one shiny apple, the shiny other things that we are seeing in front of us as being laid by many other companies, or particularly the chemical industries, which has become so sophisticated in producing many of these plastics, heavy plastics, or relative semi-plastic products in manufacturing them, is actually doing a great harm to the society, because over the time they are degrading and getting into our system. But if we are trying to eradicate them, we are unable. So these all these poisons that has accumulated, even the storage of these frozen food in plastic packets for 6 months, 8 months, these are also not good, because the plastic is stretched and stuck to the body of the food material that we are going to consume, and these are also having to undergo some biochemical natural reactions. We do not know whether they have long term or bad term impact. So with all this, I will conclude that frozen food, only if taken judiciously for a short period under stress condition, is a good source resource that one should use. But mostly, if we have opportunities and option and we are not lazy, we will definitely spend time in buying fresh fruits and vegetables, meat, and our life is not like the Arctic people, where we are 6 months daytime, 6 months nighttime, 6 months of summer, and 6 months of winter. We have plenty variety of seasons, and there is a wide variety of vegetables, fruits available for us. It is better to avoid as much as you can, unless under very specific condition you are forced to take this kind of food, the frozen food, or you are in such a situation or a condition where frozen food is the only food resource that you have, that you need to consume to survive. Most of the other cases, we should not be going for frozen foods at large, because even if you are taking it ice creams and stuff, these are all frozen desserts, frozen products. Sometimes the kids take them very spontaneously, and they have long-term damage on their teeth, relating in later age, resulting in root canal and other related disorders. And now heart related ailments have been also connected with your dental health, health of your tongue and stuff. If you do not clean them properly, it is said that it carries various bacteria into our system that has detrimental impact on the other products that we are trying to sell and stuff. So with this, I conclude, and I request everyone to avoid having frozen food wherever they can. If there is a healthy alternative, we should go for it. But I also say at the same time, sometimes there are no other option but to go for this processed food for which we serve. Thank you very much, Dr.
Thank you, Dr. Sakat. Thank you. Within 5 minutes, I would like to communicate my sentiments also.
Okay,
This
please.
storage of frozen foods is influenced by the storage condition generally. You have already explained the facts nicely, but high temperature must be avoided in frozen food. So, what are the chemical effects of freezing? Number one, concentration of chemicals in liquid phase, increased acidity, low pH to protein denaturation, effect more pronounced during storage and slow freezing. Types of chemical changes: flavor and odor deterioration, pigment degradation, enzymatic browning, auto-oxidation of ascorbic acid, and protein insolubilization with lipid oxidation. These are generally types of chemical changes we observe. Factors What factors affect chemical changes? Number one, initial substrate concentration, pH, oxygen, handling and processing, time and temperature. These factors are very important, which can affect prevention. How we can prevent these chemical changes? Inactivation of enzymes, low temperature storage, alteration of pH, and exclusion of oxygen, deoxygenated, that temperature or environment should be there, inactivation of enzyme, low temperature storage, and alternation of pH. If we see the microbiology of frozen food, this growth of microorganisms is absolutely temperature dependent. No pathogen can grow around -5 degrees centigrade. Generally, no microorganism growth below -5 degrees centigrade. Freezing cannot kill pathogen if food is already contaminated. However, some microorganisms are killed, some are injured, and some are okay. During freezing and storage, no problem. After thawing, controlled, no problem. Uncontrolled, definitely problem will be there. Number of bugs. Surviving freezing depends on number of bugs, types of bugs, storage temperature, method of management, measurement, temperature fluctuation, etc. So need to control initial load, freeze rapidly, store at -18 degree, constant, thaw rapidly, low temperature. Use immediately or store at -5 degrees centigrade. So freezer burn is also a freezer and burn. It is caused by sublimation of ice on the surface region of product when the water pressure of ice is higher than vapor pressure in the environment. Freezer burn produces changes in the appearance and texture on product surface and maybe the region of odors and flavors. So freezer burn, it is also a unique nomenclature. I would like to conclude my presentation here. 55 slides are there, but our next speaker, Dr. Suparna Sanyal Mukherjee Madam, has arrived. Welcome, Madam. Dr. Suparna Madam. Welcome.
It's a very good evening.
Good evening, Madam.
And thank you for giving me another opportunity to say something on this auspicious day and auspicious momentum. Basically, frozen food is nowadays we are having and we are including in our daily food habit system. Include this to some extent can preserve the food, but it is not good for the health. Just because when we are using this frozen food, that the nutritional value is deteriorating. Used to be deteriorate, and there are and case you cannot get the proper smell and the taste and the quality of the food will be deteriorate. But frozen food is always using for the long lasting period. Lasting period, that means if we are going on traveling from the foreign country, and there is a food that the rasgulla, the tin food is also we are taking and we are eating for our day-to-day life, and we can store it and preservatives, though we are using several types of preservatives, but these preservatives may be good and may not be good in some cases. And frozen foods, especially in the cold storage, we can preserve it in this cold storage. But the cold storage food is also containing some kinds of preservatives, and this cold situation, then the temperature temperature, if the temperature may fallen down, if there is a power cut, if there is a low shedding may happen, the food quality will be deteriorate. Still, they also develop the frozen food and the frozen
Your voice
valuation.
is not coming, madam.
And it is a problem over here for this internet problem. That's why the voice may not come. So ready to eat and ready to have this frozen food is also important for the people, those who are living in the outer circle, and we can frozen and
Your
we can
voice is not
preserve
coming.
it. It's not coming. Hello, is it coming now? Is it coming? Hello, is it coming? Is it all right?
Your voice is
Then
not
there,
coming.
then there is a problem. Can't help it. This night I can go out for the catching the internet. So excuse me, please. Shekharji has presented his presentation. Dr. Shekhar has presented his presentation. Can't help it, sir.
Something is
I
problem,
cannot.
madam. Something is problem. Your
I
voice
cannot
is
go out.
absolutely not coming.
Then I am leaving.
Some technical glitch is there.